Hi everyone, in this video, let's take a look at what is business analytics.
Here, we are going to define business analytics, understand its evolution and what is it today. We are going to identify the different types of analytics and then see where they are applied. In the day-to-day operation of a business, there are questions that needs to be answered and there are several decisions to make in order for a business to grow. Such as how much to stock in inventory, when to buy, or where to source it, which seller may miss the target order, and why. What can influence customer choice? Are they happy or satisfied about your product? Can we recommend to customers? If yes, what will that be? Traditionally, to answer these questions, you need to hire someone who has a lot of experience and a lot of statistical knowledge about the traditional way of doing business. The second approach is the data driven approach, which is normally being adopted by many companies. And that is the reason why we are learning business analytics. A lot of company collect data and store it somewhere else, probably in spreadsheets or database, and then processing it thereafter, and then ultimately analyzing it. They analyze the data from multiple sources in a lot of statistical techniques. And then when analysis is complete, the realization is shown in the form of a dashboard or reports complete with graphs and plots. Here is the roadmap where data is collected and processed as insights. In these processes, the analyzing process is the most vital. So that is why the ultimate focus is on the analytical part. We define business analytics as the practice of interactive and methodical exploration of an organization's data through statistical analysis. Business analytics is used by companies committed to data driven decision making. Like many of the organizations today, every industry focus on exploiting data for their competitive advantage. In fact, there are so many evidences that this is the trend. Of course, number one, you have Amazon trying to analyze everything from what you click to what you buy and how you pay it and where you wanted it to be delivered and when and how, like all of those things. Let's take a look at the evolution of analytics and how is it today. The early 70s or 80s, decision trees and neural networks have started, and probably many statisticians have been using this already. However, why is it only now that data analytics became a mainstream technology? That is because of three things. First, the volume and the type of data. When people started tweeting, posting videos on Facebook and YouTube, um, sensors are collecting data. I mean, sensors are generating data and are being collected. There was a tenfold increase in data growth by 2016. And what is interesting is 90% of that is unstructured. Together with that, the cost of computing and storage went down and it is steadily decreasing by up to 40% for server cost and 90% for storage cost by 2012. Similarly, we have new investments in tools and services. So they have created server farms and clouds where it's becoming cheaper for an individual or a small company to collect and store data. Look at the changing face of data here. Before we were talking about 1,000. We were talking in thousands of bytes, and then millions of bytes, and then billions of bytes. Now we have zettabytes, which is about 10 raised to 27. I don't even know how to describe that in terms of how many billions that is. But you see, the good thing is while the volume of data is increasing, there is a steady decline in the cost of technology per terabyte. So you can see the green line representing the cost for flash drives as well as for the hard drives and even the tape drives. No? All of those storage devices decreased steadily while the cost is decreasing, the capacity is increasing at the same time. You can see here that the number of transistors that can be embedded in a microprocessor increased exponentially. And that would mean more power to our devices, not only for PC, but also small devices like your cell phones and other gadgets. And to sum it up, the evolution of analytics was affected by exponential data growth, the cheap global storage, and high computing power. Now let's go to the types of business analytics. No? The types of business analytics is classified according to how complex it is and what is the business value of that particular technique. So we have the lowest form, which is descriptive, and then diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. So prescriptive has the highest complexity but gives you the highest business value, which also requires a high skill level. It answers the following question: what happened? So why did sales did go down? It answers the question: what happened? So can you describe your sales? Why is your sale this high or this low? Why did it happen? Are there circumstances that could have affected the sales? Like were there holidays? Were there emergencies? Or are there government policies that affected the sales? Next is what might happen if we're going to introduce new variables, if we're going to just introduce a different technique or strategy. No? What if we are going to have a markdown in the prices? What will happen to our sales? Prescriptive is this is the highest, as I've said, prescribes you and answers the question what to do when it will happen. So in fact, it's already a guideline, and that's the ultimate goal that we would like to have in our business and our organizations. If you know more about a business event, how a business event happened, or you are interested to know what happened or those kinds of things. No? You are trying to describe that, and that is called descriptive analytics. This requires minimal to no coding. So that's why descriptive analytics is the easiest technique for data analytics. It is the analysis of the historical data to understand trends and patterns and evaluate the metrics over time. So there are many sophisticated tools that can handle those kinds of analytics like Tableau, MicroStrategy, including that of Google Analytics. So examples of descriptive analytics: when you analyze the past 6 months sales data and identify the top 10 selling products, and also you would like to know what are the sentiments of your customers towards your product, those are examples of descriptive analytics. Thereafter, if you go one level down and think why it happened in the past, then it's called diagnostic analytics. No? It involves the technique of answering why it happened. So by using statistical methods and basic data exploration, we can understand the reason behind why that event happened. Example is when you analyze the sales, uh, why it was down in a particular region or why it was down in a particular period. And so if you analyze why your customers don't buy anymore, are is it because of something else? We are interested to find out what causes or that particular behavior. Predictive analytics, on the other hand, these analytics will tell you what would happen or what might happen if you do this kind of things. It is more complex and gives you more business value. This analytics predict the future outcomes. It can also predict the impact of a variable, um, or like a weather, or another variable like a sale. If it's rainy season, what will happen to your sales? If you introduce another variable like the sale, if you're going on a sale, will that increase your customers? If the customers will increase, then what will happen? So it can also predictive analytics can be categorized in the future in different techniques such as predictive modeling, data mining, and forecasting. An example of predictive analytics are uh, predictive future sales based on past historical data. Like in the academe, it's enrollment. Based on historical data, can we predict um, the population of your program? That's interesting. So also predicting whether a customer would take a product or not, or predicting whether a customer leaves your organization or not. In the case of Globe and Smart, as a telco, is there a possibility that the customer will churn out or churn in? So again, those kinds of things are exciting to see. And the last and the highest form of analytics is the prescriptive analytics. No? Prescriptive, it's like, a doctor prescribing already a medicine for those symptoms that we have identified. Prescriptive analytics, it tells you what would happen and it will also tell you what to do when that thing happens. Prescriptive analytics specifies the best course of actions for a business activity in the form of the output of a prescriptive model. So it uses a lot of optimization algorithms to create the final output, or which we call prescription. So predictive analytics is using sophisticated tools and techniques as well. And for example, in a supply chain, you are going to find the best route to deliver the product that will definitely reduce the cost and the time. How about in marketing? So what is the optimum budget for marketing expenditure in each particular channel? Retails also use a price markdown model that provide when to give discounts or offers and how much to give discount. And this leads us to decision automation. So you have data on the left side, and basically, decision automation is if you have this data, what are the actions that you are going to do in the end? So, let's say you have here descriptive. Let's say you have here the analytics portion and the human input necessary to come up with a decision. So in descriptive analytics, you have a half analytics, but you need also the same amount of human intervention to come up with a decision. So because in the descriptive form, you analyze, so it will tell you, oh, your sales went down for this month. Now, It's up to you as the supervisor. What are you going to do with those information to come up with a decision? In the diagnostic, it tells us why did it happen, and you already know why those things happened, and you might want to come up with a strategy. So that will be the part of the human input, and then to come up with a decision. Whereas in predictive and prescriptive, the human input is becoming some irrelevant. No, not really irrelevant, but it's not necessary already, like in the prescriptive, because it you are already told what to do based on optimized strategy of optimized searching of possible solutions done by your algorithm. Okay, so it will be easier for us to make risk-free decisions because we already analyze it very well. The analytics application use cases, there are many. We categorize them in three, by industry, by function, and by technique. So along the within this course, we will be using examples that will fall in these three categories.
And that's it. So see you again in the next video.